Okay, so I'm preparing myself for the SVC contest tomorrow, and I'm not gonna lie, I really don't have a clue what I'm doing when it comes to packaging these guys for transportation, but I kind of have a plan, and I figured it might be beneficial to record this, and maybe it will work, maybe it won't. I guess the only way to really find out is to try and do some tests, and you know how I am. I like to run some tests. So I'll kind of lay out what my idea is, and then I will go do the idea, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I need to get these 10 planes into 5 boxes. 2 of them are big boxes, and we already know that the PV is going to take up a lot of space. The Skyraider is also going to take up a lot of space. The F-16 might take up a little bit of space height-wise, but luckily I can take the tail off, but I got to worry about all the dangly bits that are on there. The rest are relatively small, so I think I can get a couple per box if I lay things out right. So basically what I'm thinking is the smaller of the planes are going to get 2 to 1 of these boxes. Okay, this is a 17 by 11 1/8 by 6 1/2 little storage container down here, so you can see. So I have 3 of those for the smaller plane, and then for the bigger stuff, I have this box here, which is it's this box, which I've had for a while. This is a 23 5/8 by 16 3/8 by 6 1/2 height. So I have 2 of those. So what the plan is like I said, the bigger stuff will go in the bigger boxes, smaller stuff will go in the smaller boxes. So I need to give all of my planes a kind of a once-over, give them a check for dust, and maybe anything that's kind of started to fall apart over the last few months. Some of these are a little bit older, but most of them are relatively new builds. So I just need to give them a look over, give them a dust off, make sure all the landing gear is straight and all that kind of stuff, and then I'll start the boxing process. So I'll come back when we're ready. Okay, so what I did was I went to Hobby Lobby and I bought some of this polyfoam stuff. This stuff is very squishy, as you can see here. So these are all 2-inch thickness. These 4 are 2-inch by 12-inch by 12-inch, and then this one is a 2-inch by 22 by 22. I originally wanted to get a few of these, but they didn't have them in stock, and the next thing up they had from them was a gigantic roll of foam, which I think was a little bit of overkill because there have been a lot of waste. So I figured that this one will cover the bigger boxes, these will cover the smaller boxes, and then I also have some random kind of similar foam that's a little bit narrower floating around the shop as well that I can use. And I also bought 2 packets of, these are sponges, like kitchen sponges, and I'll explain those later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple kits. I'm going to lay them out inside the box first, get an idea of how they can lay in there, a couple of them per box, and then I'll figure out how I want to land on the foam, and then I'll cut out recesses. Actually, I'll lay out first with a marker the kind of the placement, and then I'll cut out the recesses with the X-Acto blade. So let me move some crap away, and then I'll get some boxes. I'll show you how I'm going about doing this. Okay, so for just this example box, I got 2 FW190s, a D and an A, and they're kind of laid out in there like so. I think that this can work when I put the foam in. So let me get a piece of sample foam here. So here's one of these 12 by 2 ones. So if I lay this out right, this guy will go like this. This guy will go like this. I can offset them just a little bit. And the big thing I want to make sure that I protect on these, obviously, is landing gear, pitos, MG barrels that are sticking out, stuff like that, propellers, of course. So I think, laid out like this, the wingtips we may have a little bit of contact with, the side of this, but I'm not too worried about that because I think it'll be nice and secure when it gets put in there. So these look like pretty good from overhead, that they're not going to knock into the plastic with the propellers. The propellers will be protected when I cut out the recesses. Same thing here. This wingtip is a little close. I could probably actually go like that. And the other thing also is we want to make sure height-wise we're good here. And I can already tell the height won't be an issue with these in the container. So I think for this one we're good to go. These two match onto this piece of styrofoam. All we gotta do now is take the packaging off, lay out with some marker, double check again to make sure that it's in a good spot, and then we'll start to cut out and see concept-wise if that's what's gonna work. Obviously, we also need to cut down this guy to fit into the container. It's obviously a little bit too wide, so all I'm gonna do is just trim down the edges, and whatever excess I have I'll use to put on the side to keep this from shuffling around inside the container. Now, obviously, if there's still some moving around, I can add some tape on the bottom of this to keep it down on the plastic container. So, gotta do some measuring, and I'll make this cut, and then I'll have to readjust for the planes with this being cut. All right, we're still good. Still can protect the pitot tubes, gun barrels, and propellers. Actually, this probably can scoot back a little bit, not too far. Yeah, I think we're good. All right. So we'll go ahead and I'll remove one of these. Now I'm just going to make kind of the general mark with this Sharpie of where things are. So I'm just outlining the wings, where the body is. We'll come up here, and this is where we're going to want to box out the front end of this. So that's where all the most of the stuff that can get broken is laid out on. So right there. Okay. There is that one. Let's lay this guy back on here. Try to worry about that guy's landing gear surviving. Okay, we'll take this off. Okay, so that's kind of the general layout I have for both of them. Luckily, they're pretty much the same plane, so their layout's pretty much the same. Now I just have to go about cutting this. So basically, though, what I want to keep is any support underneath the wings. I want to keep, so those wings can rest on it. So, and then same thing for the horizontal stabilizers. You want to keep those there. So basically, all that's going to get cut out is, this area here to allow the fuselage to drop in and the rear stabilizer to sit on, and then this box up here will get cut out so that the landing gear can dangle down, the propeller has a little bit of an area to be protected, and then gun barrels and stuff like that should hopefully rest on top, but we'll have to take a look at that. It might be that maybe we have to kind of trim at this a little bit to make a recess so that the gun barrels and pitot tubes don't get stuck into the foam. So what I'll do in a minute is I'll come back and then I will cut out the foam and then we'll lay down and see if everything fits. That's the one. Okay, that fits there. All right, all laid out. Looks pretty good. I have some scraps here that I can use to pad up the rest of the box. So, let's do another once over. Like I said, I'm not too worried about the wingtips. I'm more concerned about these brass P2 tubes getting broken off, gun barrels, stuff like that, and then obviously protecting the propellers. So everything looks pretty good right now, and there's a little bit of airspace, so if it does get knocked, it's okay. So I'm going to unload these, and then I'll get them in the box, and we'll come back. Okay, so they're in there. I had to do some trimming, some adjustments, but basically they're in there. You have a nice shape. They're not moving around too much. They're not falling out of place. Up and down is pretty good. A couple adjustments here and there. I think we're good to go. Yeah, a couple more trims I think will be okay, but they're in there pretty good. So I think it's not the nicest looking, but hey, the point is to get them in a 45-minute car ride safely without getting destroyed. So I think we've accomplished that so far. So I'll continue to do some more work. I'll come back in a little bit and show you kind of what I did for some of the bigger stuff, more of the awkward type stuff, and yeah, we'll come back. Okay, so this box is for the PV1 Ventura. So I did basically the same thing, but now the PV is a bigger plane that's boxed where the engines are. There's a lot more stuff that has to be defended, basically. So this is what I did, and it actually works pretty well. So let me get the PV here. Okay. She drops in just like that. And these tails sit in there. And now basically what I did was, same process as the FW190 box, but I added these kitchen sponges, like I told you I had a couple packs. These are just put in front of each of the wings so it doesn't slide forward, and in the back so it doesn't slide. If you see like this, it's pretty secure in there. Even up and down is pretty good. And then I just took the excess foam that I didn't need and I framed off the sides. I'm actually going to take a couple more of these blocks from the FW box. Those a quick trim. I'm going to frame out the last of the spot there. Just like so. So that one's a little bit too wide still. There we go. Pretty good. And the good thing about these sponges is they're not going to rub at the paint as aggressively as some other things. So that's pretty secure. Clearance on the top, all set. Give it the box on top. Locks into place. All secure, not moving around. unless I'm going over some massive speed bumps, I think that's going to be pretty good. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a couple little small holes in it. I know outgassing of things shouldn't be as big of an issue, but you know, there's lacquer paints on here and they do outgas. It has been warm in California the last week or so. We've gone through a little bit of a heat wave, and down where I'm going in San Jose, it's probably going to be warm. Now, these aren't going to be in the car for much, too long, but some small holes, if there's any outgassing, this will help it outgas, basically into my car. But there we go. Each hole in each corner, the same thing for the FW box sand. Okay, that's the PV box done. So I just realized when I opened up one of the packages of foam, I bought one that had 2 sheets of 1 inch thick by 12 by 12. So I was like, oh, yeah, but okay, so I made it work. So for this box, I have a Messerschmitt 109 E7 Trop, and then I have the Buffalo that I just finished recently. So what I did, the big thing about the thickness is allowing clearance for under the plane for the landing gear to have space so they're not just knocking around. So since this is a one inch thick, I decided that I'll just use the sponges as spacers. So I just took the sponges, I took 2 of them, and I just cut them about the same thickness and length, and then they're just laid out in there underneath the wings, rear stabilizers, and then I just mounted them in there with some toothpicks, and the toothpicks are in there so that it will stop the planes from moving forwards and sideways in the box, since the depth doesn't do that. So a little bit of a mistake on my part not checking what I was buying, but still pretty secure. Still gonna take some extra foam and fill up the sides here. Try to avoid pitot tubes, stuff like that. This 109 is actually one of the very few kits I have in my collection that is completely out of the box. I think all of you know that I love to use aftermarket stuff, and I think it's maybe 1 or 2 in my collection that is strictly out of the box. Don't do that very often. I like adding all the detail stuff I possibly can. Okay. All right. I'm not shuffling around, not bouncing around. Pretty good. Pitot tubes, gun barrels are all protected. Good stuff. This top come from? I don't know where that top came from. All right, here we go. Another set of boxes is done. So I got the P40 and the P51 to fit in. I just had to chop up the foam block quite more, and I also had to kind of make a note that when I put these in and take them out, when I put them in, well, they're already in, so they're going to get boxed up, but when I take them out tomorrow, P40 has to come out first, then the P51. The P40 has to come out first because the aerial wire is over the P51's rear stabilizer. So just got to know that there's like an order to how things need to come in and out, and then when I pack it up for the day, P51 goes in first, P40 goes in second. So just little things like that. But they are in there. Pitot tubes are protected. Actually, the P51 pitot tube is on the bottom of the wing, and here I am breaking my rule. This has to come out first. This comes out second. Okay, pitot tube is actually protected. Okay. I'm also worried about the drop tanks on the P51 as well. They're very lightly put in there with some super glue. Okay, and I have a couple little pieces of foam underneath the tail there. So I think another thing I'll probably have to do before I go out tomorrow is take a picture of what the inside of each of these boxes look like, so I put them back together as well. So this is already really long. All right. close for comfort with it. Aerial, but I think it'll be okay. Another box down. I still have 3 more models to box up. That is the F-16, the Vindicator, and the Skyraider. Okay, so I think for the Skyraider and the Vindicator, we're going to have to go like this. Unfortunately, my dumbass, when I built the Skyraider, I glued all the drop tanks in place instead of making them removable with the polycaps. It's probably because I never planned on taking them out of the house, but yet here I am. So I think we're going to have to go like this for these two, and then we're going to have to pack the F-16 separately. So yeah, I'll start laying out the groundwork for this, and then I'll come back after I pack it up, or at least get to a point that looks good. So. Okay, well, I thought I filmed that, but I didn't. But I got it to work. So basically what I did, let me remove this, I'll just show you, is I just laid out the nose and the tail, and then I boxed out basically where all the dangle bits will be. So you got like this home plate looking type thing. And then the part I cut out, I just halved it. And then when I lay it in here, it sits at the bottom, so there's some clearance. It's not completely level, but it's clear enough. And then you can just take Mr. F-16 here, lay it in, and there we go. It's nice and secure. It's basically just resting on the bottom of the nose, which is flat, and then I cut out a little like scoop for where the exhaust cylinder is at the bottom, so it has like a little area to land. And then its landing gear is just touching the styrofoam underneath. So it does a pretty good job. You know, taking it a bounce. I just have to put some space here. There is a pitot tube up at the front that is deadly sharp and also very, you know, easy to break off. And there's also static dischargers all over the wings. So lots of little things to watch out for and protect. If I want to, I could take the tail off. I will definitely take the canopy off in transit and just have it laid in here. Obviously, another situation where I should have made it so I could take the bombs and stuff off. I need to get into this whole realm of using magnets for things that a lot of guys are doing. I'll have to go tune into some videos on the YouTubes to see how to magnetize armament. So, there we go. That's the last plane in its box. So what I'll do is I'll get all cleaned up, and I'll come back and kind of show you everything and how it's packed. And mission accomplished. Now it's just get to the show safely tomorrow. So I'll be back in a minute. So yeah, there's everything all boxed up. Let me take this down here. Man, I gotta turn around here. But yeah, so here's the F-16. Let me zoom out a little bit here. There's the 190s. There is my mistake in not reading a label of packaging, and there's the Buffalo and a 109. Here's the P-40 and the P-51. And there's our naval subjects, the Vindicator and the Skyraider. I actually have to fix the rear stabilizer because I knocked it loose when I was moving in the box, so that's one repair I have to take care of. And then lastly, there's the PV, all nice and protected. So all in all, everything's all boxed up. Everything seems pretty secure.
You know, hey, we'll see how it goes tomorrow when I pack it up and we go. We do it live, as they always say. So, got to make some notes. Got to finish up my references for the entries for tomorrow. But I will update tomorrow with kind of how the show goes and show you some stuff, take some pictures, and all that good stuff. So, thanks for tuning in. I hope this is useful for you for packing your models. Maybe you need to move, or maybe you need to go to a model show. But I think this will be valuable for some people. It doesn't look the best. It looks kind of, messy. But hey, as long as it gets the job done right, it doesn't have to look neat. So, all right. Ace of Spades Model Work signing off. You guys take her easy. Adios. Okay, I also put together a little toolkit for tomorrow, just in case something happens in transit. So I got a utility knife, an X-Acto blade with a fresh number 11 blade in it. That's an X-Acto blade handle with a needle in it, or not a needle, a piece of wire so I can apply some super glue. A pair of small scissors, some sprue cutters. This is UV curing CA glue, and that's the UV light. And then I got some Loctite super glue liquid, some Tamiya extra thin quick set, a pair of tweezers, and then I got a couple brushes to use for dusting stuff off, and then a handful of gloves for handling my models so I don't put some fingerprints on them or scratch them with my nails. So yeah, there's my boxes for tomorrow. Trying to think back to the last time I went to a model show. I was 14, so that's 23 years ago. And I think I took I remember it was a Tamiya BF 109 E4 maybe in tropical camo. And I brought it to the show in, I think, the kit box. And it survived. So if that can survive, I think these can survive in this extra padding. If not, I'm definitely doing something wrong. But yeah, so all I gotta do is load up in the car tomorrow. The only other things I did before I wrapped everything up is I labeled each of the boxes and I put my name on them, just so they don't get taken away or stolen or something. I don't know what you really do with boxes at the show. Do I unload my models and then take my boxes back to my car? Can I tuck them away somewhere in a corner? I have no clue. I have no clue what tomorrow is going to be like, since I don't remember what going to the show was like when I was 14. But definitely feeling like a 14-year-old as here I am the night before. So looking forward to the show tomorrow. I'll definitely have some updates, and maybe I'll bring my camera and we'll film a little bit and show you what the Silicon Valley Classic is all about. That should be it. Adios.